This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Friday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you. As always, we appreciate you making Locked On Bets your first listen of the day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Week 2 of the NFL, week 3 of college football. It's busy, a lot going on. And the good news is now you have conference matchups infiltrating college football, and a lot of big ones inside the SEC. We talked about LSU, Florida earlier in the week. We're going to get to Georgia, Tennessee in just a few moments, have some NFL selections as well. Lee, are you ready?
I am ready. It's football. We're not going to discuss baseball. We're not going to discuss UFC, not going to discuss tennis. Well, we never discuss tennis. So football, more football. That's what I love.
All right, let's get to it with the Bulldogs and the Vols.
What the WTF?
Georgia's beaten Tennessee 8 consecutive times, and you wonder if this will be the time that Tennessee snaps the losing streak. Joey Aguilar, who came over from Appalachian State, he's the man now for Josh Heupel in Knoxville. Bulldogs up to a 4-point favorite. Lee, what do you like here with the Dogs and the Vols?
This is crazy. I mean, I watched Nico Amilava last week in his game against UNLV for UCLA. He looks horrible. I mean, he doesn't even look good for if he was a MAC quarterback. He looks that bad, that lost. And Joey Aguilar, he ended up going to UCLA thinking that was his place. And then he's like, well, now there's an opening in Tennessee. I'll take it. He's the perfect fit. Now, they won 8 straight times. Most of the games they dominated. I think it was 3 years ago. I think that was Tennessee's best chance to beat Georgia. Georgia was really good. They had to travel to Georgia, and it was in a pouring rainstorm. No chance. When you're running that 2-by-2 passing attack, 2 receivers split way out on both sides, and you're trying to throw a wet ball, not going to happen. So there has been some extenuating circumstances, but Georgia's been the better team, bottom line, for probably 10, 12 years. Now, I'm just seeing a little bit of chink in that Georgia armor. Not recruiting the same level guys, not seeing the Jalen Carters on that defensive line, not seeing offensive linemen, in my opinion, that are going to go middle, top half of the first round, and don't have a quarterback. I am not a Gunnar Stockton fan at all. I think this guy, most teams, he's an average backup. I think that his teammates like him a lot. Likeable guy, plays hard, plays with guts. Just not that talented. He's a Jag, just another guy. So they played 2 games this year. They played Marshall, and you're thinking, Marshall, they played for the conference championship last year in their conference. Well, Marshall's coach left after the year, gutted the squad. I think they had 3 starters returning from last year, maybe like 10, 15 players. They almost all went to Southern Mississippi with him, and the rest of them spread out throughout the country. Then they also played Austin Peay, the Governors. Who knows? I know their nickname because I know all these college teams. These 2 teams are not good at all. Now, the only positive for Georgia is the receivers are dropping the ball less. Last year, they had 30 drops, number 1 in the country. So that's your only thing you can hang your hat on is your receivers are holding on to the ball a little bit better. I think you're in trouble. There's no receivers, running backs that scare you. I think Tennessee, like I said, has found the right quarterback. He can push the ball down the field. I think it's their time playing at home. That's a tough place to play. Wrong team favored right out of the gate. The streak is over. Tennessee upsets Georgia.
It's early. I get it, Lee. It's only 2 games in. Does Georgia regret Carson Beck not being there?
I think so. I mean, now Carson Beck was not great last year. I think it was maybe a combination. He didn't play well. The receivers were horrific. And maybe he was homesick. He was dating that girl, one of the 2 Cavender twins. Something was going on. he was just out of sorts. You see him, and the joy is back in the game for him. What's interesting, we talked about this earlier. 5 top quarterbacks all lost against the spread, projected possible top 10 picks. Carson Beck, right now, I think he's looking at a top 10, top 15 slot if it was to end right now. So he looks really good. And I mentioned also on one of the other podcasts this week, Eli Holstein. Watch him. Really good quarterback, started at Alabama, at Pitt. So those are the risers right now. Unless Arch starts coming on, he can always come back. But these guys like Sellers and some of these other quarterbacks that people hold in high regard, so far, I'm not feeling it.
All right, so we have Tennessee against Georgia as our first selection in the SEC. So now let's move over to the ACC with Clemson taking on Georgia Tech.
Oh, boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
On Thursday's show, I had Kansas State against Arizona, and they're playing tonight in Tucson. And one of my reasons behind that was I just liked the line drop that Kansas State, now it's more manageable against Arizona. I feel the same way here with Clemson. I'm going to lay the points with them against Georgia Tech in Atlanta coming up on Saturday. Number one with Georgia Tech. First time they're an underdog this year, obviously. Playing Colorado on the road, and last week an easy win at home. But here's the fallacy with Georgia Tech, Lee. Georgia Tech over the years, they have covered as 19-point dogs. They beat Florida State as a 10-point dog last year in Ireland. I dug up this number the last few seasons. They have 16 underdog covers. 12 of them are as a 6-point dog or more. 10 of the 16 are by 9.5 or more. So that's a good job when you're a heavy underdog. Clemson's laying 3.5 here. This is manageable for them. And Clemson, when you look what happened last week against Troy, they gave up an early touchdown, a long touchdown, and there was a pick six. And that was it. Clemson outscored Troy 27-0 in the final 34 minutes of that game last week. So they pretty much dominated them after a slow start. And Clemson also is a single-digit favorite. Their last 8 against ACC foes, 7-1 straight up and against the spread. I think that Clemson takes care of business here. They did not play Georgia Tech last year. Previous 2 years, blowout city. I think Dabo gets Clemson pretty much here wire to wire, as opposed to last week where they really struggled off the LSU loss, maybe a little bit of a hangover and a tough start there, but they ended up beating Troy, didn't cover. But I think this time they take care of business against Georgia Tech as a short favorite on the road. So our blowout special, I did it more of a slow motion, Clemson against Georgia Tech coming up on Saturday.
All right, I got 2 points to add on here to why you like him and I like him also. So Haynes King played in the game 2 years ago. He went 13 for 31. He had 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and he had -3 rushing yards in that game. Haynes King is a fumbler also. He's playing hurt, didn't play last week. He just has one of these bodies. He started at Texas A&M. Reason he's still not in Texas A&M, he got hurt and then lost his job. So you watch him, and he's a great athlete. Tall, rangy, can run, throw. He just doesn't do anything great, and in the biggest moments, he doesn't come through. I agree with you. Clemson, when everyone doubts him, that's when they play their best ball. When you put them on that perch, they just kind of go through the motions. And now we found out, I have a feeling LSU is really good. LSU looked unbelievable in that second half of that game. I have a feeling Clemson might end up coming back there. They were down one of their receivers. I think they're going to end up being a really good team and maybe quarterfinalists, semifinalists playing for the national title.
And remember, the LSU lost still a non-conference game, so this is still the ACC opener. So nothing's really happened in a sense for Clemson because we see these teams, you can afford to lose 2 games and still be okay. And we know the ACC isn't anything great. So we'll see how this turns out with Clemson and Georgia Tech coming up on Saturday. We have one more college game to get to. Texas A&M and Notre Dame. The Fighting Irish beat the Aggies last year in College Station. Now they go to South Bend. So we'll talk about that. Also, NFL Week 2, a pair of games. Seahawks and the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Jags and Bengals in Cincinnati. All of that is coming up. Very busy Friday here as we continue with Locked On Bets. We talked all week about FanDuel, so let's wrap up the week with FanDuel. Yeah, because you know why? NFL Week 2, it is here. Commanders, Packers already in the books, so now we look ahead to Week 2 in the NFL for the Sunday slate. Oh, by the way, Super Bowl rematch, Eagles-Chiefs coming up in Kansas City Sunday afternoon, the one that everyone's going to have their eyes on. FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You could bet on the games. You have all your choices. You have the divisional showdowns, Bears, Lions in Detroit, Cowboys and the Giants in Dallas. Also, you have the Monday night doubleheader, Bucks, Texans, followed by Chargers, Raiders. So a lot of choices there. Side, total, money line, also player props. You can build out those as well, the same game parlays. And if you want to look ahead a little bit at Super Bowl odds, the Super Bowl favorites right now, the Ravens and the Bills, and also the MVP, guess who the favorites are? Two quarterbacks of those teams, Josh Allen of Buffalo, Lamar Jackson of Baltimore. All the awards you could bet on at FanDuel. Also the Super Bowl odds, the winner of the AFC, the winner of the NFC, all of that. You can get it at FanDuel. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. We roll on here with the Friday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports as we continue the look at college football. And it's time. We had a blowout for Clemson, Georgia Tech. We're going to have another blowout here with A&M and Notre Dame.
Oh, boy. Last one out. Turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
Second straight year the Aggies and Fighting Irish are playing. Remember, Notre Dame won at Texas A&M last year, and then they lost at Northern Illinois the next week. So that almost torpedoed their season, but we know Notre Dame still made it to the national championship game. But the Aggies, they are looking for a little bit of revenge here on the road. So, Lee, what do you like here with A&M and Notre Dame in South Bend?
So two teams that need a win bad. Notre Dame wins it because if they lose this game, they're sitting at 0-2. They had a bye last week. They could be on the outside looking in. Their schedule is not tough. There's not going to be many signature wins. So they would need probably the other teams that they're going against, if they're looking for a top 12 berth, to have 3 losses. They had the bye, as I mentioned. They played Miami in the first week, and I was at that game. Let me tell you something. That was an intense game. They have nothing to be sorry about. They played well. I thought Miami just played a little bit better. They had some injuries on the defensive line, might get some guys back in the next month, their nose tackle. They held up against, I think Miami might have a top 5 offensive line, maybe a top 10, top 15 trio of running backs. So they only gave up 3.5 yards per carry. Think they made the right decision, not going to the portal. They went with C.J. Carr, Lloyd Carr's grandson. He looked good. I mean, the moment was not too big for him. They were down 14. He brought him back, tied the game with a couple minutes to go, just never got the ball back again with real chance to win. I think got it with like 20, 30 seconds to go, and or a minute. It was not meant to be. He ended up getting sacked twice. So he didn't do anything wrong. He was impressive. Now they got the extra bye week. They're going to face a Texas A&M team. Quarterback is Marcel Reed. He's okay. Good athlete. He actually leads the team in rushing. 2 leading rushers behind him are the 2 running backs, Le'Veon Moss, Reuben Owens. Combined, those 2 guys have only run for 164 yards against inferior competition. So I think that this is going to be a really tough game for Texas A&M. Unless they're hiding in the woods and haven't shown anything, I'm looking at their talent level, their running game, their passing game, their defense. They've spent a lot of money. And they, except for like Concepcion, the wide receiver from NC State, they don't have many game breakers. And Notre Dame, their defense just tackles so well, play really good special teams. I think that Notre Dame's the right side. That extra bye week, they're going to be ready to go. This is their season. A&M's never been able to come up with that signature win, and they might be waiting another few weeks or another few years. blowout special. Notre Dame lay the 6.5. They win 30-17 over Texas A&M.
Yeah, and like you said, for Notre Dame, they do not want to fall to 0-2 on the season. Looking ahead for them, they got Purdue at home next week, who they'll beat, at Arkansas, Boise State, NC State, USC, all at home. So, again, always interesting schedule with them being an independent. But, they don't have a Clemson on the schedule this year. They don't have, because they don't have all the Big Ten teams they used to face. So they face a lot of ACC teams, but the ACC teams are Pitt, Syracuse, Stanford, Boston College, and then Miami, who they lost to. But those were all teams they should be able to beat.
You left out a bunch of teams, Kevin. You left Army, Navy, and Air Force. So they used to
play.
Oh,
excuse me. Oh, sorry about it.
Yeah,
Army just beat Kansas State. I know they lost to Charleston State.
Army might be the worst of the three, believe it or not. Big win for Army, but I think that Navy's the best. Their offense is incredible. Air Force is good. This might be one of the best runs here for, believe it or not, I think all three armed forces are going to have winning records this year and in bowl games.
Yeah, and Army now a couple years into the American, no longer independent. So very interesting whenever now they're showcased against some of these better teams. Coming up, we are going to shift our attention to the NFL Week 2 and a couple Sunday afternoon games we will look at. Seahawks and the Steelers from Pittsburgh, Jags and Bengals in Cincinnati. All of that is straight ahead as we continue here on the Friday edition of Locked On Bets. Locked On Bets continues here on a Friday. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. We've talked a lot of college football, so now it is time to go into the National Football League. Eagles-Chiefs is not one of our best bets. Before we get to the two best bets, Lee, quickly, just any thoughts you have here on the Super Bowl rematch coming up on Sunday. Eagles now a short favorite over the Chiefs.
I think the emotional edge is with the Chiefs, revenge. The Eagles still probably have more talent. So just one of those games I'm going to sit back and enjoy. Kind of reminds me of Buffalo, Baltimore. Maybe the last team, like I said, obviously in that game with the ball won that game. This might be lower scoring, might be like 23-20 last team of the ball. I do think that for Kansas City to win, Patrick Mahomes will probably have to throw for about 260, 270 and run for 40 or 50. Without his top two receivers, Worthy and Rice got a tall task.
And we don't remember the Chiefs being 0-2 for a very, very long time, if that's the case, if they lose coming up on Sunday. So let's now look at a couple of plays here. It's another interconference game earlier in the day. The Seahawks and the Steelers from Pittsburgh.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
I was going to say Heinz Field, but it's no longer that. It's Acrisure Stadium, which does not have the same ring at all as Heinz Field. But anyway, so Kevin, the Seahawks.
Wait, hold on. It should be called Three Rivers, right?
Well, there's a lot of names we could change, though. I mean, yes, but the difference is in Three Rivers, you'd be playing on cement with some random cars hanging out by the walls there in left field. All right, so let's look at this matchup now. Seattle and Pittsburgh. And the Seahawks lost a low-scoring game to the 49ers last week at home. What's so interesting with the Seattle Seahawks, they used to be unbeatable at home and okay on the road. It's flipped now. They're not good at home anymore. I think they were 3-6 last year at home, and now they just lost to San Francisco. They were 7-1 on the road last year. Now, obviously, they did that with Geno Smith, who's no longer there. Sam Darnold is the quarterback now, making his first start. I'm really not that concerned about the west to east thing. I'm really not. I look at that NBA, NHL, you've been on a long road trip. It's going to wear on you. For one game, I'm not concerned about it. The Steelers, off this huge win over the Jets last week. Aaron Rodgers throws 4 touchdown passes in his Pittsburgh debut. Pretty much the revenge game against the Jets. You knew he would be excited for that to kind of show him that he's not dead yet. He played well. You got to give him that. And Pittsburgh does have talent. They did get shredded, though, by Justin Fields and the Jets. But I think Seattle here, This line tells you a lot. Getting 2.5 here on the road after they weren't great against San Francisco. I think they step up here on the road, go out east, and again, wouldn't be shocked if they won the game outright against Pittsburgh coming up on Sunday. So we will call that our hidden gem.
Like it. Think that this Pittsburgh defense did not show well. Maybe they've got more weaknesses than we realize there. And I don't think Pittsburgh's offense can keep scoring at that kind of rate. So Seattle, I like teams off having really off first games of the year going on the road. Big game for them. I could see them winning, like I said, outright.
Yeah, and we'll see what kind of magic Sam Darnold has now in a different uniform. All right, so we have made it towards the end and the finish line, so it's time now for our lock of the day.
Open it, open it, open it! Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
Jacksonville visiting Cincinnati, and the Jags won Liam Cohen's debut as head coach. The game took about 7 hours, it felt like, with that long weather delay. But Jacksonville did beat Carolina, and Travis Hunter, he looked good in his debut with the Jags, mostly at receiver. And now Jacksonville hits the road to go to Cincinnati. The Bengals, thanks to the Browns kicker, won the game. The Bengals won the game because the Browns kicker missed an extra point and a field goal. And Cincinnati would have started another season with another loss, but that wasn't the case. So the Bengals at 1-0, back at home for their opener against the Jags. Short favorite. Lee, what do you like here?
So I think Cincinnati's good, but they always seem to get off to slow starts. They were very lucky. I mean, so lucky they had to be hugging their other teammates in the locker room. They got to play Cleveland. Cleveland misses an extra point and a field goal. Should have won them the game. So they got lucky. Now they go back home. You're thinking, oh, okay, facing Jacksonville, same old Jacksonville. Just got to win, by 6-7 points, and you'll be fine. I think they're up against it. I think this Jacksonville team is different. Liam Cohen, I think, is a really good, well, he was an offensive coordinator, now head coach. I'm watching Trevor Lawrence. He looks like he's a different quarterback. Looks like when he came into the league, he had a lot of confidence. His arm is healed since he had that shoulder surgery. Last time they came in a couple years ago, listen to their receiving core. They had Laviska Shenault, they had Marvin Jones, and they had, who's the third? I think it was, Dan Arnold were the three starting receivers. Now they're going to come into this game with De'Ami Brown, Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas, who had 10 touchdown receptions last year, already has one on the year. Also, their running game, much better. Travis Etienne, he was getting like 20, 30 yards, it seemed like a game. He already has 100 yards in his first game. He looks like he's revitalized his career. And maybe the most important thing people don't look at. Last year when I was grading their offensive line, I saw they maybe had 3 players on the offensive line. Talking to someone, went to a bunch of their practices, knows their personnel. He said for the first time in a long time, they feel they have 7 to 8 bona fide NFL offensive linemen. So they're able to pass block better for Trevor Lawrence. His confidence is soaring, able to run block better. Defense, they got 2 edge rushers that are going to come after Joe Burrow. They know where he's going to be. This isn't, like you're going to face Lamar Jackson here. He's great, but he's not going anywhere. I don't like laying points with Cincinnati at home, even though it's 3.5 here. I like Jacksonville. I think they're going to win the game straight up. We're going to go with a level 3 lock to end the week. Jacksonville Jaguars, 26-23 over the Cincinnati Bengals.
Loaded show today. 5 games, 3 college, 2 NFL, and also we had other games sprinkled throughout the week. If you want to check out those picks, you can go to our YouTube channel, Locked On Bets, to find those. Florida LSU, one of those games that we highlight earlier in the week. So, again, we have a lot of games that we've gone over so far this week. You can also find our podcast as well, Locked On Bets, in your favorite audio platform. And before we go, Lee, tell us everything going on at Paramount Sports heading into a big football weekend.
A lot going on. So we hit our 40 unit We rate our games from 10 to 50 units, 40 unit max wager last week. We're now 72 and 28 on our max wagers in my history with the company. Those are documented records. Go to my website, ParamountSports.com, click on recent results. You can see the last 5 years, every game I've given my client. We have our biggest game in maybe 2 to 3 years. I have a 50-unit max wager going on Saturday. Been watching the tape. One team is way better than the average person realizes. The other team, terrible. They're going to win maybe 1-2 more games, tops, the rest of the year. I think when we look back on this game, we're going to say this line was off by 2 or 3 touchdowns. So you want to get in on a game like that. I'm studying games. I watch every single college and NFL game, biggest in maybe 3 years. You can hop on board. A couple different options. Call it September to Remember. That's one of the options. You're going to get 3 weeks from now through the end of the month, our phone service, where you're going to get 9 to 12, 9 to 13 games a week where we rate them from 10 to 50 units. Call once a day. Hear every single game on a tape. 3 weeks. Use coupon code SAVE100. Just $297. Works out to less than $100 a week. You want to get through the season. We still have 23 more weeks going there all the way through mid-February. $16.97. That's it. Don't pay another dime. We do player props. We're 17-4 on player props, college and NFL so far to start the year. Price real low. It's our first year doing that. $5.97. UFC card starts at 3 o'clock on Saturday. We've won 12 of the last 15 cards, and we have a 40-unit max wager there. We're 20-10 since the start of 2023 on the UFC on our top 40 to 50 unit plays. So 5 for 35 there. So UFC 5 for 35. Football, 3 weeks, $297 with coupon code SAVE100. Entire year, $16.97. And player props through the Super Bowl. You get 7 to 10, 7 to 12 a week, $5.97. ParamountSports.com, or you can call me personally. I'll speak to you. 800-400-9741. Everyone have a happy, safe, productive, winning weekend.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And we're going to talk to you again on Monday. Remember our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to it. Locked On Bets. We're going to talk to you Monday to recap the weekend and look ahead to Monday Night Football. You have 2 games coming up on Monday, Bucs, Texans, Chargers, Raiders. So looking forward to that and much more. For Lee Sterling, I am Kevin Rogers. Thank you so much for tuning in to Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.